Cross toward the knee and come in and really feel the belly working. Go out and in. Squeeze that tummy, not too much belly work, just a little bit for 4. Because the belly's working the whole time in yoga. 3, 2, and 1, and we switch. So you bring that other hand down, other arm comes out, press your hand onto one weight and lift that other weight across. And again, it comes from the belly, it comes the shoulder action, right? Lifts a bit. But you really want to press down, get really good at controlling the tummy and pulling it down. Now, if you need that other hand behind your head like that, that's fine. Just put it right behind your head. It's not a big deal, right? You're still going to feel the work in the tummy. Let me do 4 more. 4, 3, 2 more, 2, and 1. Beautiful. Drop the weights down. If you have a yoga block, you're going to use it for the feet. If you don't have a yoga block, you just pretend that you have one there. Okay, and so you'll squeeze it right in between your feet or your ankles. Legs are going to be straight and strong. You're going to be dropping the weight or the legs. Bring it up. Grab the block, or pretend to grab if you don't have a block, and drop. Okay, so we keep going. You pass the block or imaginary block to feet. And then you grab it and stretch. Don't do this with a weight because you have a beautiful face and we don't want anything to happen to that face. So you can either pretend nothing, a cushion, but nothing heavy. Yoga block will be fine, right? And so we'll try 4 more times. You're doing great, you guys. Try to keep your legs straight if you can. 3, drop the legs straight if you can. Lift them straight if you can. 2, engage down in the belly. Beautiful. And 1 more time. Woohoo! All right. Nice. Let's release and drop it in. So the next part's going to be a little bit of bridge work here. And we will be opening the chest and shoulders with weights if you have them. So if your weights are kind of far away, just get them right back to you. If you have a block or something, put it right in between your knees again. For this one, if you have a yoga block, use it like this, like to squeeze your legs like this, rather than the skinny way. Okay, so you're gonna look at the block in this wide way and squeeze it that way. If you don't have a true yoga block, just whatever you have is fine. We're just not going to go too narrow today. We're just going to kind of open it up a little bit wider, okay? And you're holding that inner thigh strength, pelvic floor. So pelvic floor is those deep buttock muscles, and you squeeze them like a fist, and you draw those deep buttock muscles up to the navel. Believe me, when you're 95, you'll thank me. You'll thank me. All right, so weights up. And you're going to squeeze your pelvic floor as you're in bridge position, okay? So keep feeling like you're pulling everything in and up, like you're trying to stop yourself from going to the bathroom. You're pulling, 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 and that's when you're going to thank me. All right, so reach open and squeeze the chest. Chin is up, neck is long. Keep squeezing that pelvic floor. Squeezing the pelvic floor and lift. And open your chest even more, you guys. So you don't want your hands only to go to the floor. You want the backs of the upper arms, the elbows, and the forearms. So try to feel the difference if your upper arms are not hitting the floor, but your wrists are, okay? And so we're gonna go for 4. Keep squeezing the glutes. 3, lift and squeeze a little bit more. 2, and 1. All right, we're gonna bring it over the head like this, and you're gonna go over and drop your hips. And we go over and drop your hips. And again, every time you lift the arms over, you're lifting that pelvic floor even more. Heels and toes are down, even though your weight is mainly on the heels. Heels and toes are down for 4. 3, doing good, guys. 2, and then hold everything up, and you're gonna bend the elbows behind your head and then extend them. So 1, squeeze the glutes, pelvic floor. 2, keep lifting. 3, chin is up. 4, tone those arms. 5, now push a little stronger, a little faster. 6, extra squeeze in the arms and the butt. 7, belly 2. 8, 10, and just 2 more. And 12, good. All right, let's release that down. Drop through the weights, drop through the block, and and tug the knees into the chest. I'm going to work our deeper openings here. So coming into the hip openers. So hug it nice and strong. Press right ankle over left. Right knee presses out to the side. When you guys do this, spread those inner thighs, okay? So you really want to rotate that upper inner thigh, this right one, rotate it away from the left one. So your left inner thigh feels like it rotates down or away from your body. Right inner thigh rotates up or toward your body. So even though you're going to pull your leg in, that left leg in, your inner thigh feels like it's stretching toward the bottom of your yoga mat of the left leg, and your right inner thigh feels like it's pulling toward your chest. And you breathe in deeply, pelvic floor strong, and again, that is where your movement comes from the hip joint. Squeeze in a little bit more. Okay, you're gonna keep the same shape, just drop the foot down. And when you bring your legs over to the left, once again, I said this in the last night's class, you guys are there, don't let it happen here at the waist. Let it happen at the pelvic floor. This is where you guys are turning from. Right at your pelvic floor, right at that root. The belly is nice and firm, and you keep twisting from there. It's even across the joint of the hip. So coincidentally, if we have things going on with that root chakra and the second chakra, we have problems with the hip mobility and stability. So we're trying to strengthen the pelvic floor, move the rotation from there, keep the belly nice and strong. Arms are going to open out like cactus arms, and spread open the front and the back of your chest. So spread open front and back of chest as you twist a little deeper. And again, if you are like me and you have always had a habit of twisting from the waist and then have back problems, right? It might be challenging, right? So maybe it's a lot of us who have that, right? You just want to try to suck into the belly so it doesn't really move too much, and you spin from the base of the spine. You'll feel your spine spinning from the inside, maybe, right? And then grab that knee with your hand, left hand, and pull it in toward you, and see if you can just pull it in a little bit more. The foot's still on the floor. You just kind of give it a little deeper work here. You can loosen that up. You can rotate that inner thigh a little bit differently now. Beautiful. All right, let's come back onto the back, and we'll do the same thing on the other side. So if your hips kind of slanted around, just fix them so you have a good alignment, and just bring left ankle over that right thigh. And again, your hips should fall, right? So don't let your pelvis slant. What you're doing is pulling this left inner thigh up toward you. You're spinning it really like more toward the quadricep. And that right inner thigh spins away. So you're getting this opening of the hips that way. And then you grab that right leg and pull it in. So you're still pulling that left inner thigh up and in, right inner thigh down, and you're breathing. And you try to keep that pelvic floor nice and strong. So if the pelvic floor is not strong and stable, you'll end up rounding the pelvis and rounding the back. So you want to ground through the pelvis, stay open in the pelvis, and just squeeze at the joint of the hip. Breathe in and breathe in out. All right, we'll drop that foot down. And again, bring the legs over to the right side. Once again, moving please from the root, not from the waist. Okay, navel stays in, and two sides of the body are very different. So if your foot doesn't come down on the side, or if it does come down easier, you know, just recognize that you have a tightness or a weakness in one side more than the other, and we're working for balance. So right now you want to try to feel balanced, right? So pull the belly in, and just keep feeling the inner thigh strength, pelvic floor strength as you twist from those points. Arms are going to be like cactus arms or straight out. See if you can lift through the crown of your head, you guys, and spread the front and back of the chest. And breathing in, breathing out. So keep pulling, pulling, pulling over and squeezing the pelvic floor. Now you're going to reach with that right hand for the knee. And again, not using the back or anything, you're rotating from your thighs. You're going to spin that inner thigh a little differently here as you pull the leg in. So the knee's away from you, the inner thigh is coming toward you. Now you pull the knee towards you and that inner thigh spins away. Right, so see if you can deepen the stretch, deepen the rotation. Whatever it is that you feel like is right for you, that you want to experience here. Breathe in and breathe out. Beautiful. All right, let's release that and bring it right up. And come on up to seated. Woo. We're going to stretch out the back, the spine, and lower back and hips. So when you guys are ready, just stretch out those legs and come into our forward bend. So if you have a strap here, go ahead and use the strap. What you don't want to do is start to hollow out and round out. So we're lifting through the lower back. Lift all these muscles here, outer thighs. Lift up. Pull up, pull even from the ankles to the hips and pull everything up so that lower back is nice and strong, pelvic floor is strong. Once again, it's gonna look and feel like you're stretching from your waist, but you're actually moving from the hip area, right? So you wanna bend from down here in that pelvic floor. So there's always a restriction there at some point. As you practice more, your restriction, your point of restriction, you get to go a little bit further, obviously, right? But squeeze your ankles together. So look at your inner ankles and make sure they don't go away from each other. That's an inner thigh strength. Inside of ankles, inner thigh. So zip your inner thighs tight together. Hold them nice and strong. And stretch your inner thighs toward your feet. See if you can pull them toward your feet. Top of the groin, right one, left one. And then continue to bend from the joint of the hip and reach right side, left side independently. So you want to fold at the right hip and the left hip. So you're thinking about the right hip folds and the left hip folds. And look at your knees, they should be lifted. Toning the inside of your legs, and now toning the backs and front of your legs so that they're nice and strong. Keep lifting those outer thighs. So the outer thighs move away from the ankles up to the butt. Inner thighs move away from the groin down to the feet. So see if you can feel that energy. Lengthen your spine a little bit more and use your arms to help you. Don't use your neck. Right? Use your hands or your fingers and your feet to help you pull a little bit more. So bend a little bit more into each hip. For 3, go a little further, you guys. 2, go a little bit further. And 1. Beautiful. Let's release that up. Woohoo! Good one. Bring that right leg in and out to the side, left leg out to the side. We're going to come into Janusarsasana. Again, this is very healing for the back. We do a lot of hip openers. With me, I tend to do that to open up the hips, but these folds are equally important to open the hips because you want to get a deeper contraction as well. So this hip right here is out to the side. So you guys want to flare that open, spread that open, pelvic floor is strong. This hip, you're going to keep that leg toned. Again, outer thigh, inner thigh, feel that reaching. And you're going to use the hands on the foot or strap or leg to help to guide the folds at the hip joint. So again, if you're rounding your back and your lower back is starting to go backwards, I want you to notice it. Lift your lower back and send it forward toward your thigh, toward your foot, toward your shin. And bend a little deeper and feel your foot against your inner thigh and inner thigh against your foot, possibly feeling that inner thigh stretch downward toward the foot, outer thigh lift up, and extend a little bit more, you guys. Just go for it. Squeeze your hip flexor. Squeeze into the tummy. Bend and fold. Just compress. Beautiful. All right, and then we'll rise up. And before you do the other side, just take this leg and bring it over the other leg. So this is going to get you into a twist, but you're twisting again from the pelvic floor. So once that foot is over there, you're actually already in a twist because your chest is forward, just bringing that leg across. You're going to hug it in right here. Bring the hand down. And again, the rotation comes from that root, and you want to keep spinning from there as you rotate away from that leg. So lift your spine, strengthen and tone your inner thighs, lift right up through the top of your head. So again, lift as if there's a string attached to the spine at the top of the head, and you're lifting your spine up. Breathe deeply. Stretch your upper back as well. and your neck. And then when you're ready, release, and we'll take it to the next side. So you'll take that right leg out straight and the other knee out to the side. So before you just fold right into it, you want to make sure this hip is open and stretched. So as you pull your belly away from that hip, you're opening up that stretch. So you really want to get that root or that pelvic floor to move over to this leg. So just keep doing your best. So it's not just your chest over the leg, but it's really down there, right? So you keep pressing over that leg, and you can close the leg in more if it's a little bit too much of a reach for you. But keep moving from the base of your spine, inner thigh toward the foot, outer thigh toward you. Lengthen the lower back and press. So notice that lower back. Lift it, lengthen it, and squeeze into that hip flexor. Keep opening up one hip and folding the other. So again, use the strength of your hands here to help you come into this contraction of the hip. Breathe deeply, letting the head drop. Keep letting the hips open. Deeper work here if you can, letting everything come down. All right, and then when you're ready, go ahead and rise up, and we'll take it to that twist. So you'll take this leg over, and if you don't make it, just pull that foot in, pull that knee in, or a little bit if it's a little too much of a stretch for you on this side, right? So pelvic floor is grounded, hand behind you. Again, you're twisting from the floor, and you lift your spine and twist. Lift and twist. And continue to lift the spine through the crown of the head and twist. Just open up a little bit more, you guys. Maybe turn the chest, maybe turn the chin. Beautiful. All right, let's let that go. Nice job. And we're opening up the hip one more time before we come in neck and shoulders. All right, so we'll take right leg in, left leg behind, just like that. We'll stretch quadricep, hip flexor. And again, right here, just see if you can separate your inner thighs again, okay? Either physically moving them out or just feeling the energy of your inner thighs. Go back there. You're gonna take your hand on this hip, and you're gonna roll that hip forward. So what happens to the inner thigh is the inner thigh starts to spin, and you start to move in through the joint of the hip. Remember, 360-degree rotation of your hip. So you want to open up all parts of the hip, not just one common part that we open. And reach up and keep rolling that hip forward, and roll this top shoulder back. Okay, so that hip goes forward, shoulder goes back. Want to get the solar plexus strong, and maybe let the head go back so the throat opens. Shins down, inner thighs parting and stretching. And then when you're ready, release and bring that down. Nice. And let's try the other side. Very good. So again, when you come into this position, you're going to find what works for you, right? Two sides very different. I'm going to just keep opening up right here and spin this hip. So turn your hip forward. So the hip is off the floor. Your inner thigh gets that deeper spin there, right? So you're stretching through the psoas as well. And then we'll rise up and keep stretching your inner thighs and keep moving that hip forward, and take your shoulder back. So don't let the hip go back. When the shoulder goes back, allow it to continue to the neck and the head if it feels okay. Keep opening up the inner thighs. Go ahead and unlock the inner thighs. Reach them open a little bit more. And release. Very nice. Okay, so we're going to use the floor to open up the shoulders. Just very quickly, we're going to get this opening here. So you can do this with yoga blocks. There it is. Or not, right? So if you're using the yoga block, if you have one, your arms are on the block and you're pulling. If you don't have a yoga block, you're just doing it this way, right? And you're pulling open here. A lot of times we end up like lifting the shoulders up. So the shoulders are down and you're moving the arm bone away from the back. So your back here has to actually move toward your feet, like that way. So you definitely want to feel, you know, your back pulling away from the arms and the arms pulling away from the back. And see if you can keep feeling that on the right arm and on the left arm. And as you start to do that, you might start to feel like the shoulders strengthen and your back, upper back muscles strengthen. And that's what we want. This will help you with your overhead reaches and things like that in yoga and your downward dog. So you're engaging the arms behind the head through the strength of the upper back. We're trying to get rid of that tightness. Beautiful. All right. We'll release that down and we'll take it to threading the needle. So we'll take that right arm under the left here. And this is where you're just going to stretch as far as you can, you guys, and just open your throat and let the head come down to the block of the floor. And don't twist your hips, right? Don't twist your waist. Pelvic floor, stay strong and steady. And coming down and twisting that upper part of your back. So when you come into your upper back twist, your solar plexus becomes your root. That's where you come into this deeper kind of feeling of support of the chest. The solar plexus helps you to get into that stability and stretch of the chest, upper back. So let's try the other side when you're ready. Just releasing that hand and bringing the other arm. So again, don't let your hips turn. All right, just bring that arm across, solar plexus strong, head to the mat. And just keep trying to feel that reach and release of the shoulder. You can start to mobilize a little up and down, little rotations, anything like that. Just deepen the stretch, hug into the solar plexus, lift and support your spine that way. Beautiful. All right, when you're ready, unwind. Just come and have a seat for a quick neck stretch before we come into Shavasana. Just have a seat, roll the shoulders back. Everybody's up and open here and through the collar. So if you have a hard time with this, I do sometimes. I'm a little bit like I need help here, so I'll use my hands to lift the collarbone, right? So you guys can either just keep rolling and lifting the collarbone with your movement, or you can use the hands to help to lift the collarbone up and stretch it out so sternum stays lifted, but the belly is nice and strong. And as you keep that lifted, the ear is going to come all the way over. Just don't let your body turn. Don't let your spine lean, and keep this shoulder down. So what you can do is stretch that opposite arm out, thumb stretches away, and go ahead and grab hold of the head here and just stretch open a little bit more, and turn the chin down so you get a stretch at the back of the head. Right, squeeze into the throat a little bit, and then turn that chin up and see if you need that stretch there at the front of the neck. And release it center. We'll do the same thing on the other side. So keep that nice and open. And again, if you tip your head over, if your body tips over, just try to recognize it. Keep your spine straight. Just let the stretch happen here at the neck. Arm out if you like that feeling of that stretch. It gives you a little extra stretch. You can also ground it and hand on top of the head. Just breathe in, breathe out. So pulling right open through the top of the head and tucking the chin down for that nice little stretch at the back. And then that chin comes up. And release. Beautiful. All right. Pull that out. Go ahead and lie down on your back. Close your eyes. Just a quick little 3 minutes here of breathing and letting go, detaching. Let that belly soften, arms relax, shoulders relax, eyes closed. Just feel your body, feel your breath. And just continue to detach from any stiffness in the body, any discomfort, any pain. let it go. And the legs, any stiffness that you might have in your back, detach from that. Sometimes we have physical restrictions that become a habit, or that we just attach to and attach our personality, our being, or who we are with that. Like, that's just who I am. I have a bad knee. And I'm not saying that we don't, but in yoga we practice detaching, even if it's just for a moment, so we're free of it. And we do the same thing with our opinions, our thoughts, our emotions, whatever rises that make us who we are, quote unquote, right? Just detach and just be free of it for now. Just be neutral, be balanced, be present. Continue listening to your breath. And be in this space of peace. Maybe today, thinking about detaching when something arises that you're just, maybe it's a craving, or it's a thought or a pattern of behavior that you are trying to change. And when you feel it arise today, come to this place of relaxation, of breath, and see if you can detach from it for just a moment, where you go to this place of peace and calm, and you detach from the thought or the feeling or the emotion or the craving or whatever it is. All right. And when you're ready to come out of Shavasana, just go ahead and move the body generously, opening the eyes, trying to stay relaxed and calm and at ease as you roll to your side before you come up to seated. If you have a yoga block, you want to sit up on the yoga block to end your practice. And so we end in seated. Thumbs touch the sternum lightly lifted. Okay, so thumbs touch the sternum lightly lifted, jaw is relaxed. So if you have some things going on with the neck, again, if you're at home working at the computer, the solar plexus holding the sternum up will help to support the neck. Okay, so just kind of maybe use that throughout the parts of the day. And again, disturbances of the mind, the emotions, and things like that. Practice your internal Shavasana, if you will, throughout your day as well. Thank you guys. Namaste. Have a great day. Have a great weekend. And it looks like no rain, so we're at the track at 7. I don't know. I got to check outside. If anybody wants to join us. Bye.